The Nabalis Canyon is a false live blade, though there is a trainer version. But this false live blade version clocks in for me at 4.44 ounces. I'll link the website, which would probably have slightly more accurate specs, but at least that's what it says on my scale. What can I say about this? The biggest things first is that it is stainless steel blade on stainless steel handles and a pinless design. We'll talk about both of those. So first things first, when you hear stainless steel, at least when I hear stainless steel, I usually think fucking absurdly heavy and imbalanced, like the Lucha. Don't get me wrong in that the Lucha is, well, it's not a great flipper, at least in the stock configuration of steel on steel. However, it is a very, very good knife as a knife. As a flipper, it's got some, it's not the best. But my Lucha is already really heavy, and it's like almost 6 ounces for me with this configuration on the zippy weights because I just want mine to be heavy as possible as a joke. But the Canyon is actually very nice average weight at 4.44. The Kraken's like 4.3, so it's actually like pretty good. Now, in order to get that weight, they had to grind the living fuck out of these handles, so they're very skeletal. You can see that these faces have a major hole here and a major hole here, as well as a deep speed channel that leaves a slight little bridge in the middle. This makes it feel almost like a sort of like a sandwich-ish knife, but it is channel. It's just it's just a really hollow channel. But that said, it is actually a really nice weight and a really nice balance. It also has some nice jimping that I'm a fan of. I think this jimping is quite nice. It's deep, it's rounded, and it feels, it's high enough. You get some decent grip out of it considering what it is. So for ladders, it is. Now, this being a false blade, it is not a real sharp blade. You cannot really cut with this. Here I am. But all false edges are pointy. They're all pointy. I just flipped my hair the wrong way. They're pointy. They're really fucking pointy. This thing, like all false edges for the most part, are really pointy. So do be aware that this thing is not the safest thing always. You can stab with it. You can stab. Stab. It's not a great stabber, but it's not, it's not the safest thing. Anyways, so what can we say about this? Stainless steel handles still feel like flipping steel. That might sound fucking stupid, but in a sense of like, just because these handles are a nice lighter weight doesn't mean it doesn't feel like I'm slinging around heavy steel. Aluminum is just lighter, but it also just feels more agile. The Canyon, I would not describe as agile. It is hefty. It is very, what's the word? Intentional. I find that when I'm flipping this, it is very intentional with how I need to be. I also find that doing aerials on this, it's like weird because I always find that like a lot of times my basic aerials I over rotate a little bit, and like now I can do it on camera for some fucking reason. But a lot of times I over rotate or like under rotate and I end up catching just one handle. Now if you're doing combos, it's like not a big deal, and this is just more of an observation, not a criticism. But for some reason I'm finding that at least with my Canyon, and now that I got my Cygnus back, I've not been doing closing aerials super consistently. And again, now I'm doing it all on camera. I don't know why, but at least for most of my days as I've been flipping this, it is like that. To talk more about aesthetics, I guess, there's this nice ridges up here. There's this really cool middle section here. This is purely cosmetic. It does not affect grip at all. Your fingers can touch it, but for the most part, it's not relevant to grip. It's just really good looking though. I like that. It gives it some character, and it's, for the most part, just these big, deep grooves, but with enough surface that it still feels comfortable, because I do find that a lot of times when you have grooves that are super wide, as I brought up the Corvus earlier, really liked it, but I didn't feel like there was a ton of surface area for me to hold. Also, like the Medusa, this felt, maybe the Medusa is similar. It has been a while. I kind of wish that the interiors were maybe a smidge more chamfered, but that's honestly like the most baseline nitpick. Not chamfered, more like crown, I guess. But it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel sharp. It's just like, oh, it could be nice. So it does feel like you are just holding a bunch of deep grooves. However, Not so much so that it is physically painful. Again, also because the Medusa was really handle biased and heavy and rectangular, I found myself struggling with those handles. The blade it's really sleek looking, actually. I think it's a nice minimalistic look. In that, well, maybe not minimalistic. That's actually the super wrong word. It's a nice sleek look, though. I like how it looks. It's got some nice groove here. That's good for chamfers. Sorry, what am I saying? It's good for chaplains. It's good for chaplains. So this can sit here. Spine is pretty thick. So you have this chaplain groove, thick spine, into here. You got the tip. And, yeah, I don't know. There's some surface areas. Because this is not a real blade, it is not sharpened. But also, theoretically, if you were to do a ring of shame, it wouldn't be too bad if this was sharpened. It would still suck because you'd still get, like, up here. But for the most part, this area down here. So there's no real choil. And yeah, there's just some groove lines here that I just think is a nice way of aesthetic. And then it kind of grinds nicely into this tip. You can get this in black stonewash or satin silver finish. I bought this used for the black stonewash. It looks nice. Oh, of course, how could I forget the price point? This thing's $50 fucking. I think the trainer is $40. I'll have to double check that. But essentially, this is one of the most affordable Balisongs just out there. Obviously, there are cheaper. There are cheaper Balisongs, but they're worse. Outside of 3D printed independent stuff, which, you know, you could have opinions on, but at least you can respect in that it's, you know, it's an independent person who's doing something. Like the Cube Dink I like to bring up as a $20-something Balisong that's made by an independent person at a 3D printer, opposed to a metal Balisong that's usually 10 to 20 bucks on Amazon. It's probably hot garbage. I've tried some shit. There's some bad stuff. If you can see these three Balisongs, my spoon, fork, comb combo, absolute garbage. Unflippable. I had to basically destroy it in order to get it to be loose enough to flip. The hardware just wouldn't work. My friend, if you saw, I have a video that's just titled, "It's Mostly Bad." And it's like these fucking heavy as brass handles with a sort of stubby Mako-like bottle opener with a protractor and a ruler that I have no idea if it's accurate. It's mostly bad. And that shit was less than $20. Now, $50, if you were new to the hobby, you might be like, but 50 is twice as much, more than twice as much as 20. Don't be misled. 50 is an insane fucking price. My plastic Balisongs are covered by the microphone stand, but these plastic Balisongs will be around $50 and usually ends up being a little bit more just because of shipping. And $50-ish for a plastic Balisong is great. That's good. A good plastic Balisong for around that price point is like, oh yeah, sure, of course. You know, the edit is at baseline $50. It's a good price. The Vulp is $65. If you own a Vulp, the Nabalis Canyon is very different. This is the thing about the Nabalis Canyon that's actually really interesting, is that because it's stainless steel and balanced and like just it's a good balance and it's not super heavy, it's very unique. I've never flipped anything that feels like the Canyon. Again, while there are other Balisongs that are of a similar length and similar weight and similar balance, they do not feel like steel. And that is the thing, because even if you have an equal weight distribution and all that stuff like that, steel still feels hefty in its momentum. At least this is my opinion. People might have different opinions to me, but it's so low. But yeah, steel is a really hefty material, and it feels that way. It really does feel different. So, if you have a small Balisong collection, when I was starting out, my first Balisong was the Mako, and then I learned about the Vulp, because then I've discovered Will Hirsch's channel, and I couldn't find more information about the Vulp, because unfortunately, it's kind of hard to tell how effective the reach is when you're like on the inside. But the Vulp, you know, I was really happy with the Vulp. I ended up selling it because I traded it, but I stopped wanting to flip it. The Vault Pro now exists. That's great too. But the original Vault, I still recommend as being a really great starter Balisong. Yes, the Chaplains are kind of mediocre, but it's still a really, really, really affordable, and it's honestly one of the best beginner Balisongs. Now, would I say the Canyon? Would I say the Canyon is a beginner Balisong? I mean, honestly, what even is a beginner Balisong? I would say the Vault is maybe more beginner friendly in certain ways, but and I don't even mean the Chaplains are like you have to do big, slow, steady Chaplains. I just mean in how it feels in the weight distribution and like, it's also got a bottle opener, which I appreciate. So a false edge, you could sharpen it into a live blade. Obviously, whatever warranties and whatever legality things, look up your state's legality. But I keep fucking dropping this. The Canyon provides an incredibly diverse flipping experience compared to literally anything else I own. So I wasn't sure if I'd keep this. I'm still not 100% sure if I would keep this, but it is like nothing else I have flipped, which is really honestly incredible. And the fact that they got it for such a fucking cheap price, it really was like, what have you got to lose? And for me, as a very frugal person with a very expensive hobby that I've been like, well, I mean, it's $50, and also, I decided, I'm just going to wait to see if the hype dies down. And frankly, while it did die down for the Zenith trainer, and I am still very curious about the Flytanium Zenith trainer, maybe hopefully I can try my hands on them, the Canyon, honestly, is really cool, and it's really unique, and it's really different. So, if this is the only Balisong you buy, that's cool, and that's fine. I do think that it is not the most standard feeling Balisong, but it is a fantastic first 5 or so Balisongs. I know like a lot of people be like, 5 Balisongs? That's so fucking much money. That's what I thought too. And anyways though, I started with the Mako, I then got the Vault, and then I got a Barracuda, and then I got the Cube Dink 3D printed Balisong. So those were like my first 4 Ballies, and then eventually I got the Trident, and then eventually from there just kind of, Balisong market, Instagram, oops, and that's how I fell into the hole. But, brand new, super worth the money. Secondary, still worth the money. I have not beaten this. I do not beat my knives. I'm sure someone else could share their story about how this holds up with beating, but again, it is steel. Steel's really hard and durable, so I assume this is probably one of the best beaters. Affordable. The tolerances they're fine. They're not amazing, but there's no tap. The play is, within reason. If you wanted to get a nice precision tune, you could, but again, because it's already got like a little play, some normal amounts of play for a very inexpensive knife. Being on stainless steel, this just probably beats really well. Now, the only thing that I'm a little weary about is this is a pinsless design. Pinsless is a bit of a controversial thing in the Balisong community. Sometimes pinsless Balisongs lose their handle gap. Now, as you can see, these handles are not close to touching each other. Now, I was supposed to compare before this video, if I recorded, if this shrank at all. Now, I haven't noticed any shrinkage. Again, I did know that Kumiye, Kumiye, I forgot the last several letters. Anyways, she has chronicled handle gap. It's minor, but it exists, and it can happen. Pinsless designs are like material, unlike material. So as you can see here, there's no Zen pin. It's just this. It's just part of the handles, and the Zen nipple here. It's a very wide kind of slope. So, the thing about pinsless is that you can't replace or fix any of those. You can like try to, and it being steel, I guess if you were really adventurous, you could try and fucking TIG weld. I would not recommend TIG welding material onto your Balisong, but at least steel can be welded. I would not recommend that. But yeah, for the most part, you cannot fix pinsless handles and blades from shrinking their handle gap. Zen pins are replaceable, even press fit Zen pins, and tang pins can be replaced, but it's a little dicier. Some people just don't like tang pins for various reasons. Honestly, I think tang pins versus zen pins is a bit of preference. I don't know anyone that prefers tang pins over zen pins, but for the most part, pinsless, while some Balisongs don't develop major handle gap issues, it is more or less always a possibility. Um, Maybe there are some pinsless Balisongs out there that have not and will not at least develop a handle gap in an amount of time, within reason, as long as you're not absolutely hammering the shit into the floor like you're trying to break it. But for the most part, if this was a zen pin Balisong, I would be like wholeheartedly, like absolutely 100% go yes, whatever. Probably because it is not zen pin, they managed to get that affordable, because zen pins do require the manual labor of having someone press fit them or insert them and then screw them in. You can't do that with a channel Balisong. You have to have them. Well, I guess you could have them screwed in, but it's just a little weird when you do it for that one. Yeah, no, the size 6 is screwed in. But yeah, the zen pins require manual labor. Machining the handles and machining the blade is like, it is automated. Obviously, it's still work and there's very much still manpower, but it is automated. And the assembly, I pointed this out last time. Not that it has any effect on it. I like the aesthetics of like this sort of groove that they made for the hardware. I think it looks really nice. I think it looks sleek. It looks that it just kind of slots in place. At the end, does not have any effect on the actual ability and performance of it. I think it looks nice. Hardware assembly is, for the most part, probably, I mean, obviously there's some manual labor there. I don't think press fit zen pins are necessarily the same. Like there's a different machine for that, and assembly is probably faster and easier and less fuck upable. I am not 100% sure, but I think it is possible to fuck up handles and pins if you try and do press fit. So probably to keep costs down, they decided to make this pinsless. If it was a zen pin Balisong, I would 1000% say, without a doubt, this is the best beater. Inexpensive, durable, and yeah. So the Nabalis Canyon, while it is not my favorite Balisong, it does provide a unique flipping experience that I'm not 100% sure that I am going to say goodbye to. I'm not sure. Will I keep this? Maybe. Will I do a giveaway with it? Possibly. Who knows? But if you are looking to expand your collection, the Nabalis Canyon is probably one of the best options for that. If you like diverse flipping experiences, while I have started to hone in on lightweight, neutral Balisongs, and I do have a preference, I do like certain things more than other things, I still like having weird, diverse Balisong flipping experiences, like this fucking weirdo of a Lucha that I made as heavy as possible. And while I don't prefer the handle bias of my Cygnus, I just love my Cygnus way too much to not flip it. Yes, there are a lot of different variations and weights and combinations. This one being one of the more interesting ones that are still within the realms of good. A decent balance, if you want more handle bias, you can get the trainer. But also, it's a really uncontroversial weight. I think 4.44. Some people might be like, it's a little heavier than what I prefer. It feels heavier than it actually is. Some people prefer fucking heavy knives, like the Chab, which is like 5 ounces. This might still feel light to them, but I don't know. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea by no means. But if you're looking to expand your collection and you're looking for different Balisongs that feel different, because again, some, like my cousin was like, what's the point of having more than one? Because they're cool. They feel different. This is one of the ones that feels different. So, the Nabalis Canyon, it is really hard not to recommend this. Obviously, if you're not interested, don't bother. I wasn't sure if I was even going to bother until I saw someone offer it for, a solid price. But yeah, that's the Nabalis Canyon. Maybe I'll revisit in the future. We'll see. I'm possibly interested in revisiting certain knives, like the Jigsaw, and talking about like how my thoughts have changed on certain things now that I've gotten better at flipping and I've had a way wider variety of Balisongs to try. Subscribe to the channel. I do a lot of uploads. However, I will be in San Francisco for work for all of this coming week as of recording this. So there will be a gap in recording and uploading videos. You know, I'm working. I have a job. But I will also work on getting more interviews out. I very much enjoy doing the interviews. So while the first three are all in close proximity, I am trying to line up certain interviews, trying to get back older knives in order to be able to talk about those knives that I have in my collection, but not currently on me because they're out for mods still, in order to interview people. And I've had some yeses, I've had some maybes. We'll see how those go. But yeah, like this video, donate to the coffee in the description, please. Helps me cover shipping. You know, like if you want to do $3, I'm sorry for the Slack notifications I'm popping up. But if you want to donate like $3, it just helps me cover shipping. It's not, I'm not making money off of this. By no means is the work being lucrative whatsoever. But if you appreciate my content, a couple bucks helps. It really does help. So thank you. Subscribe, smash that bell, smash your partner. I hope that doesn't get fucked up on YouTube. Bye!